There are so many brilliant and well thought out anime games.
An amazing collision of two forces! Who's the winner?
But no one can tell me that it wasn't just an awesome feeling in Digimon World to get Shitmon for the 8000th time. Who's the fine Shitmon? Yeah, you're a fine Shitmon! Maybe a bit too much love was poured into this, making the whole thing a bit too complex.
I'm kind of retarded.
That's why I can hardly believe it. We've gotten the ultimate anime game. A game so simple and straightforward that it's almost an art form. Who needs a complex story or challenging gameplay when you're forced into online activities just to be able to buy everything in the shop? And the best part? There's no local multiplayer. Who needs real friends when you can look at screenshots from the series in the gallery? While playing the game, I felt like I was transported back in time. I seriously thought I was playing a bad game from 2005. The cover alone is top notch. With the storm cover, you immediately see that there's going to be a lot of action, which is indeed the case. With Dragon Ball Kakarot, you see Goku on a solo journey, which is perfectly captured. And here, you see the main characters from the first season without really saying much. In my whole life, I've never seen an attempt to make a cover look action-packed. After all, it seems like they're executing techniques, but at the same time, it's so uninformative. You know right away where you're getting into. You see it, you feel the implied action, but deep down, you know that the highlight of the game will be the screenshots from the digital gallery. You just know a game was designed with a lot of love when, after numerous big studios, you are greeted with a still image and looping background music. I often spent hours in front of the still image listening to the music. Engaging music and characters flying in, promising too much fun like in Budokai 3 is so 2004. No! Jujutsu Kaisen Cursed Clash takes a bold, avant-garde path. Movement, interaction. In 2024. How daring! No, we prefer to stick with the tradition of good old still images. They clearly decided not to repeat the mistakes of Budokai 3. That is, offering any form of entertainment right from the start. Instead, the game gifts us with a still image. Period. A bold move that shows us how overrated gameplay actually is.
Whoa.
The game hits the nail on the head as precisely as Nobara with a hammer by omitting anything that could remotely provide joy. A brilliant strategy to ensure that players' expectations are correctly calibrated from the start. Besides, you're not supposed to be too long on the start screen. You're supposed to play the game. Moving forward, the creators have thought 2 steps ahead to offer an unforgettable gaming experience that couldn't be more minimalist. By greeting us with the same scenes from the opening, depending on which menu item you're at, they have shown us that less is definitely less. But why go through the trouble of creating individually designed menus when you can simply recycle clips from the opening? It's a brilliant way to save resources while ensuring no menu dynamics emerge. In contrast, Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi 3 spoiled us with Gohan in a car and an abundance of menu options that were brimming with attention to detail. But who needs unnecessary things like a tournament mode? Completely overrated, especially when you only have 15 playable characters. You would be in the quarterfinals right away with 2 vs 2. And you can't play locally with friends, so why have a tournament mode? Jujutsu Kaisen Cursed Clash relieves us of the burden of choice, creating a lonely but very straightforward gaming experience. The story mode teaches us an important lesson. Sometimes it's okay if middle school was the peak of our creative careers. The introduction via PowerPoint presentation, so charmingly designed that it's almost feeling nostalgic for their own school projects, is a stroke of genius. Who would have thought that the aesthetic of a 4th grader's presentation would be the perfect way to introduce us to the world of Jujutsu Kaisen? Then comes the tutorial, a gentle reminder that the wheel doesn't need to be reinvented when it comes to gameplay. But more on that later. To make the first gaming experience with the Jujutsu Kaisen franchise truly an unforgettable curse, the developers thought again that screenshots are just the right thing to choose missions. All the while, in the background, there's another screenshot. So you fight your way from one screenshot to the next, with some missions being complete PowerPoint presentations entirely without battles. You might as well just sit back and enjoy. After you have bravely fought through a mission or defeated an opponent in a duel, Jujutsu Kaisen Cursed Clash doesn't greet you with a fireworks display of rewards or an epic victory fanfare. No, this game knows your needs better than you do yourself and decides to give your serotonin levels a break. Inspired by a minimalistic app, it presents you with a frozen background, adorned with an artistic ink blot in the corner, accompanied by a single letter and a few modest points. You already know that you have played very well. You don't need a cool success screen like in Storm at all. Anyone who needs more than just a smeared corner clearly has an inferiority complex. Jujutsu Kaisen Cursed Clash teaches us an important lesson about appreciating the little things in life, or in this case, the really little things. Once you have survived the first chapter, or the main screenshot, the game promptly prepares you for the next one. The PowerPoint presentations are presented so cunningly that you will probably skip right over them. Not because the developers wanted to invest time and effort into an appealing story presentation, but rather to save you valuable time. Because why would you experience this story again? You have already read the anime, maybe watched the manga, and watched my Jujutsu Kaisen in minutes. So why taste the story again in a game? After PowerPoint Chapter 2 comes naturally Chapter 3, and this continues up to Chapter 5, by which point you could have essentially finished the main story in 2.5 hours if it weren't for Chapter 6 and 7, which you can almost get through in another hour. But don't worry, not all missions are completed to keep you from getting too cocky. Especially the training missions, where Yuta seemingly finds his life's purpose in continuously biting the dust, offer unexpected twists and make you lose the fight. And then there's the ultimate 1 vs 3 duel at the end, which makes you feel like being fisted hard is a completely new game mechanic. And speaking of missions, to add a bit more spice and give the illusion of variety, additional challenges were incorporated. Missions like run 100 meters, block attacks, or perform team attacks are supposed to create tension, which was absolutely not unnecessary, especially when they were always the same. The gameplay of Jujutsu Kaisen Cursed Clash truly left me speechless. It's so leisurely paced that even those among us with the reflexes of a sloth have enough time to take a sip of tea and ponder their life choices while being flung across the arena after a combo. For the most part though, you're just hammering the square button on the good old PS1 controller. Depending on the character, you might try the R1 and R2 attacks along with the other 2 attacks. Essentially, those are all combination abilities there are, because there aren't any. Those thinking this is like Tekken, where pressing various button combinations yields different moves, might as well play Tekken. Here, even the same move is executed whether you're on the ground or in the air. The control overview shows how straightforward it all is. Press one button to do one thing. Combining doesn't work unless you press back beforehand. To make it all look somewhat complete, they've simply listed every direction of movement separately and included the controls of the lobby as well. Especially these 1 vs 2 or 1 vs 3 fights are sheer genius. I love going on the attack, only to find I can't protect myself because I'm being attacked by another opponent at the same time. This results in my own attack being interrupted without any recourse, transforming me suddenly into a punching bag. Those moments, being unable to deal any damage while getting pummeled by both opponents, are priceless. Especially that last mission really got to me. It was so much fun that for the first time in years, I felt genuine hatred. When playing in a team, you can use team attacks, which aren't really team attacks at all, because only a few teams actually have a sequence that involves a team attack. But of course you don't need a team if you are playing with Gojo or Sukuna, who can teleport to an opponent, deal some damage and then inflict significant damage from a distance. I just love characters that are completely unbalanced. With Gojo, a fight suddenly lasts only a moment. After you have completed the story in about 3 to 4 hours and perhaps gone to the effort of using the final attack of each character, you inevitably face the question: what now? A game that costs $60 or $80 for the deluxe edition is over, and there's not really much you can do. Sure, you could play online, but unfortunately I'm having absolute internet problems at the moment, and the gameplay hasn't exactly convinced me to engage in competitive play either. But of course they designed it this way so you wouldn't spend too much time gaming, but instead go outside to return the game. A brilliant plan to set a new world record for the most refunds in the shortest time. Oh, and by the way, if you don't want to or can't play online, then you can hardly buy anything from the shop. Which, of course, also lacks any significant movement. Not even a slight up and down. Nothing. It clearly means to show that in the dangerous world of Jujutsu Kaisen, one must not make unnecessary movements because you will need your powers later. And as I mentioned, most items can only be purchased after you have had some success online. The versus mode certainly deserves mention as well. In Ultimate Ninja 3 there was a character grid and you could always see which character you were selecting. The same goes for Tekken 3, which is now 27 years old, and even the objective best Dragon Ball game, Ultimate Battle 22, followed this format. But here they opted out of a stylish and appealing character selection screen. Why? For you, of course! Because now you have to remember the names. This isn't just a simple battle game, it's also Dr. Kawashima's brain training in disguise. It's a game that tests not only your combat skills, but your mental agility as well. And to avoid risking friendships, the developers came up with the best move. They simply omitted local multiplayer from a fighting game. How could friendships crumble like they do in Mario Kart then? Impossible. They clearly didn't want to risk the world record. If Sakura Classic had a domain expansion, it would be this game. And for those who just can't get enough of static images, the gallery offers an exclusive selection of additional screenshots. In the end, it can be said that the title was very well chosen. Cursed Clash, as the game is truly cursed. And one thing should be clear, the curse should be exercised as quickly as possible, so return and uninstall it. That's it from me, we'll see us next time, so take care my friends.